Hello everyone and welcome to WordPress User TV. This is a new Divi 3.0 theme tutorial. So in this Divi 3.0 tutorial, I'll be showing you how to create this contact page from scratch. So I'll be using a bit of CSS, and by the way, if you'd like to follow along step by step, you can actually download this layout absolutely free and you can use it in your designs. All you have to do is to change the main image to suit your designs. Okay, and also, if you'd like to learn how to design websites using Divi, I have a course which has a discount, and all that information is in the show notes below. And if you are brand new to designing websites, I also have a fantastic offer. If you buy your hosting through my affiliate link, I will give you access to 2 of my courses. The first one is WordPress Mastery. So basically, this course will give you everything that you need to know to design websites using WordPress. The second one is Divi Blueprint 3. This course will give you everything that you need to get started with designing websites using Divi. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let me show you how I managed to create this page. Okay, so right now I'm logged into my WordPress admin dashboard. So the first thing I want to do is to create a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here to pages, click on add new. So you can call this page whatever you want, but since it's a contact page, I'll just name it contact. Right, so I'm going to click on use the Divi builder and we're going to go straight into the visual builder. Right, so now that we're in the visual builder, the first thing we want to do here is to add a full width section. So I'm going to click on add new section, click on full width, and we need a full width header. So I'm just going to select that. And then we're going to come over here and in fact for this, we're not going to add any titles and subtitles. So we'll just leave that as it is. So for now, I'm just going to go ahead and save changes. So I'm going to come back here because you can see here we have 2 sections, right? So the top one we don't need. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete the section. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add another section. So this section is just going to be a basic section. So I'm just going to click on add new section. And this section is going to be a regular one, as I mentioned. And we need 2/3 and 1/3 rows. So the idea here is to have a contact form in the 2/3 section and also in 2/3 column. And in the 1/3 column, we're just going to have some text. So I'm going to select this one here. And we are going to have a contact form. So I'm just going to search for it and add my contact form. Okay, so right now we're not doing any adjustments. We're just putting all the elements together and then we're going to come back in and make those adjustments. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and save, and then we're going to come over here, and this one needs to be a text module. Right, so I'm just going to add text, and I'm going to come over here to my favorite website, which saves me from typing a lot of text. So this is Lorem 2. I'm just going to copy this text and I'm going to paste it in here like that. So that's looking good so far. So I'm going to go ahead now and save changes. Okay, now let's add another row. So I'm going to click on add new row, and this time we need 4 columns. So I'm going to select that. So in the first one, we're going to have an image. So I'm going to select my image. Now I have all my images in my media library. So all I'm going to do now is to select it. Now, if you don't have your images in your media library, all you got to do is to click on upload files and then navigate to where those files are on your computer. Okay, so I'm going to click upload an image. So there's my image right there. And then I'm going to come over here and save. So next we're going to add some text modules. So I'm just going to search for it. Click on text. And over here, I'm just going to copy my text here from Lorem 2, like that. Come back here, and we're going to paste it all in here. Right, so I'm just going to make these slightly smaller because what these links are basically simulating your pages on your website. Okay, so these are your page titles. Right. So now that I'm happy with that, I'm just going to go ahead and save. And then for this last one here, we're going to add some social buttons. So I'm just going to search for social media follow. And for our social media stuff, we're going to add our icons. So I'm going to come over here. And yes, we need a rounded rectangle. So that's fine. So let's come over here into this plus button to add our social network. So the first one here is going to be Facebook. And then the link is just going to be a basic link. Now, this is where you want to add your link to your Facebook page. Okay, so I'm just going to go back, add another one. So this time the network is going to be Twitter. Go back, add another one. This one's going to be, let's say, LinkedIn. Let's add 2 more. Right, so we're going to add this plus button, and let's add YouTube, and okay, let's just add Pinterest. Okay, so those are social media buttons. I'm just going to go ahead now and save. Okay, so now the reason why I've left this as it is because after styling this one, we're just going to duplicate it and add it here. So that can just save us a lot of time. Okay, cool. So the next thing we're going to do is to add our image here. So I'm going to come over here to my gear icon to enter the settings. Right, so what I'm going to do here is to go to background. Okay, so we're going to come to this third tab. So this is where we want to add our image. So I'm going to click this plus button here, and this is the image I need to use. So I'm going to click upload an image. So now we can see our image is now added. Okay, pretty cool. So let's come over here to design, to layout, and we're going to make this full screen. Right, so now we can see our image is really showing there. Okay, brilliant. So let's go back now into the background and let's play around with our gradient colors. So I'm going to choose an orange here. So what we're trying to achieve here is to give an impression that the sun is coming up, is rising over this side, or it can be this side, whichever it is, but it just gives it a good design. So I'm going to just change the direction for now, and then I'm going to come over here to my third tab, go to the blending mode and choose multiply. Okay, so now we can see that we have this effect now on our image, and this looks quite cool. So what you could do is you can just go back to our gradient tool and just play around with this, and whichever side you prefer this orangey color to be coming from, you know, it's all up to you, but I prefer it to be coming from this side. Okay, so now that we've got that in place, that's looking really cool. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Right, so we have all the elements that we need. The next thing we need to do now is to start with the styling. Okay, so let's add our negative margin to this. Okay, so let's add our negative margin to this row. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to this gear icon to access my settings, click the advanced tab, click on custom CSS, and on the main element, we need to enter this code. So you can see now we have a margin top of -200 pixels. So what basically this is the margin is -200. So this is pulling this up into this image. Okay, so that's all you have. That's all you got to do. Okay, so you can adjust this according to whatever your size of your screen looks like. So you can even go as high as even -300. Okay, so in fact, I may leave it at -300. Okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead now and save. So what I'm going to do next is to add a background to this. So let's come over here and click the row settings, click on background, and we're going to add a background to the whole row. So I'm going to click this white, and now we can see we have a background. Okay, I know what you're saying. You're thinking, okay, that's not looking good, but you know what? It's going to all come together soon once I start adding all the colors. Okay, so now that we have that in place, that's looking pretty cool. Let's come over here to design. So in the design, we're going to come over here to spacing. So what we need to do is to add, a bit of padding around here. So we're going to come over here to column 1 padding. So on the left, let's add, say, 20. Right, so you can see here that padding has been applied here, and that's the 20 pixels. So you can adjust this and maybe even add 30 to make it really look much better. So I'm going to do this all around. So I'm just going to copy this and just paste it like that. Okay, so now we have 30 around, and let's do the same on column custom padding 2. Okay, on column 2. So we're going to do the same. So everything stays consistent. Like that. I mean, we may want to go in and make some adjustments depending on how this looks, but for now I'm just adding these numbers so that we can just have a picture of how things are looking so far. Okay, so now that I'm happy with that, let's go back to our content, click on background. So now we need to come over here to our column 2 background. So I'm going to click this plus button here to add our color. So I'm going to add this red. So you can see now that in that column we have this red color, but we have the space on the top and we don't want that. So let's get rid of that. So let's go back to design. Let's click on spacing. So over here on the custom padding, let's add a zeros throughout. Okay, so now we can see that everything is all flash. That's what we're looking for. So that's looking good. Right, so the next thing we're going to do here is you can see that our form doesn't look quite nice because we need to separate this row from this background. So in order for us to do that, we need to add some CSS code which will add a drop shadow. So let's come over here to advanced, click on custom CSS, and we're going to add that CSS code in here in the main element. So now straight away we can see that this is now popping out and it looks realistic. Okay, so that's really cool. So what we're going to do next is we can see here that the space here it's quite too close to what we have here on the footer of the page. So we need to add some margin. So let's go into design, let's click on spacing, and we're going to come over here to custom margin, and let's start off with 60. Maybe we might add a bit more. So you can play around with these and just see what works for you. So in fact, I'm going to make this 100. Okay, so we get more breathing space. Okay, so I'm happy with all my settings here. So I'm going to go ahead now and save. It's time to add some titles onto our contact form and also that bit on the side, which you can also add as an address, panel, phone numbers, and that kind of stuff. Okay, so let's do that. So I'm going to come over here and add a new module. So I'm going to click this plus button, and this module needs to be a text module. So I'm going to click on text. So we're going to call this Get in Touch. But again, you can name it whatever you want. You could even say contact us. It's just up to you. So I'm going to come over here to design and stylize it. So over here in the text tab, dark is fine. We're going to make this all caps, and let's increase the size to about 18. In fact, maybe even 22 is fine. Okay, we're going to add some spacing to it, and 4 is fine. Okay, I'm pretty much happy with that. So I'm going to save, and then I'm going to drag it to the top. Now, if you're having a problem trying to drag it, you can always use the wireframe view. Okay, but this has worked for me. So Get in Touch, that looks quite nice. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate this. In fact, I'm going to copy and paste it. So I'm going to hit Command C to copy, and then I'm going to come over here and hit Command V. Right, so I'm going to drag this to the top, and that's going to be our title for this section. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, we can see that our text does not stand out in this red background, so we need to change that. So we'll come over here into our text settings, or module settings, click on design, and then we can come over here to text, and we can change this from dark to light. And that's all we got to do, and that's looking good already. So let's increase the size a bit. Let's make it about 16. Okay, 16 is fine. Okay, and let's try and increase the line height to maybe 1.8. Right, okay, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and save. And then let's come over here to Get in Touch, and let's fix that. So we're going to come over here to our module settings, click on design, text, and then we can change that to light. Okay, so now we have this, and it's now easier to read. Okay, so now that I'm happy with that, what we're going to do next is we are going to stylize this form. So let me go ahead and save. So that form, now we need to come over here to our module settings, and we need to go into background. So form background color, let's add white. Okay, I know it looks crazy right now, but we're going to add a border around it. Let's come over here to design. We're going to go to border, and let's add 1 pixel. In fact, let's try 2 and see what it looks like. I'm going to click on use border, and then we're going to select the border color. So the border color here, let's make it this orange, or maybe even the red, so we can just keep it consistent. Okay, so that's fine, and I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so let's go to the button. Let's stylize the button. So in order for us to activate the parameters to make adjustments to this button, we need to select yes to use custom styles for button. So I'm going to do that. And then we're going to make some adjustments. So text color, let's make that white. Button background color, let's make this orange. For our text, we're going to make it all caps. So that looks much better. Icon placement, let's have it to the right. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to add an icon. So I'm just going to scroll here and see which icon we can use. I guess the one with the envelope works better. So I'm going to choose my envelope. But now we want this icon to show at all times. So there's an option here which says only show icon on hover. We don't want that, so I'm going to say no. So now we can see that it's now showing. Okay, so let's come over here and add our letter spacing. So let's try 4 and let's make this bold. Okay, so now the button really stands out. In fact, we may make even the button slightly bigger. So let's increase this. Maybe 22 could do. Okay, so that looks fine. And also when I mouse over this, you can see it's expanding a bit. I mean, that's a cool, cool little feature. So let's leave it as it is. So that's looking fine. So the text here it needs a bit of work. So let's fix that. So we're going to come over here to form field text. So let's first of all make it all caps, right? And let's add some letter spacing. For this, I think 2 will work, and let's add the line height. So let's make the form slightly bigger. Okay, 2 EMs is fine. And then the text color, we could make this red as well. Right, so that's looking fine. Now we have a problem. We can see here that we're starting to get this white space. We don't need that. So let's go ahead and save this and let's fix that. So I'm going to come over here to my row settings, click on design, sizing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to equalize the column height. So boom. So now everything is flash and it looks really nice. So while we're here in design tab, so let's come over here and add some padding. So I'm going to add, let's say 80. Right, so that looks much better because we've just added more breathing space. And this is very important in design because you don't want to have your elements, suffocated in a very small space. So I'm going to do that to the top, but I'm going to add maybe 60 to the top. Yeah, that looks better. And we're going to do the same here. Right, so that's looking much better. Now, what I've done here is I've added the spacing on the top, but it doesn't look balanced because on the left here, the space is a bit too, it's not too much. So let's add that here. In fact, it's left. We need to add 2. So I'm going to add 40. In fact, let me add maybe even 60. Okay, so that's looking better. And to the right, let's see what happens if we add 0. Okay, so that's not working. So okay, in fact, this looks much better. Okay, so that's, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go ahead now and save. Right, so this color here, you can see it's out of place. So let's fix that. So I'm going to come over here to this gear icon, click on design, text, and then with the text color here, I am going to choose this red. Okay, so now our form really looks good. So I'm going to go ahead now and save. Okay, so next what we need to do is to add some titles to this footer area. So let's start off by adding a new module. So I'm going to click this plus button here and we're going to search for a text module and we're just going to say, in fact, we can just use the lorem text. Okay. And then what you guys can do is you can decide what you want that to be when you're designing your site or when you use this template. So I'm going to come over here to text. And we're going to make it all caps and we're going to add some letter spacing. 4 is fine, I think. Right, let's see what happens if we do bold. In fact, I really like that. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to save this and then I'm going to drag this to the top like that. Now, we've got too much space between our heading and our image. So let's fix that. So I'm going to come over here to the settings, click on design, spacing, and let's go to margin bottom and let's try this. Right, so we can see here that's too close. So let's add maybe 20. No, that's too much. So I think 10 will do. Okay, so I'm happy with 10. Now I can go ahead and save. So what we're going to do now to save us time is we're just going to copy and paste this. So I'm going to hit Command C or Control C if you're on a PC. And then we're just going to paste it here. And then I'm just going to drag it to the top. Okay, so that looks much better. Okay, so I'm going to do the same here. I'm just going to paste it. And now we can paste this text because this is the time I was waiting for. Right, so I'm going to come over here and paste it. Right, okay, so that's looking good. And then over here, we also need to have a title. So we're going to copy the title from here. And we are going to paste it here. Okay, so I'm just going to drag this to the top. And for this one, I'll just say follow us like that. Okay, so that's looking cool. So we're almost done. So what we're going to do next is we are going to reduce the height of this image right here. So to do that, we need to come over here to our module settings, click advanced, custom CSS. So here in the main element, we need to paste this code. So all this is doing is we are adding a maximum height of 600 pixels, and you can see it's made a change. So you can play around with this and see what works for you. So yeah, I mean, in fact, 600 is fine. I'm going to go ahead and save. Okay, so our page is taking shape. Finally, I'm going to add a bit of breathing space right here at the bottom. So I'm going to come over here to my row settings, click on design, and I'm going to click on spacing. So we need our margin bottom to be about 100 pixels. So let's add that. In fact, that's a bit too much. Let's try 60 or maybe even 40. Okay, so let's go ahead and save. So pretty much this is our page, and you can see now that this is much different to just, designing a page where you just add your contact form and, your text on the side. Right, so now when I scroll, we can see that our page looks really nice. So as I mentioned earlier on, you can actually use this page in your own design. So all you have to do is to click the link I've provided in the show notes below. That will take you to the post, and then you can download this actual page. Now, once downloaded, you can add or customize this to your liking or to something that fits your website that you're trying to design. And again, as I mentioned, this is absolutely free. So if you'd like to learn how to design websites and learn these techniques, I have a full course that can teach you step by step how to learn how to use Divi. And Divi is really powerful. You can see everything that we did here. We haven't even touched Photoshop. So all this is done using Divi. And I believe this is a really powerful tool. So the course will show you step by step what you need to do to learn how to design websites effectively. And also, if you're brand new to web design and you'd like to learn how to design websites using WordPress, again, I have a course for that. In fact, if you want to get these two courses absolutely free, you can buy your hosting using my affiliate link, which I've provided in the show notes below. And also, if you've already got your hosting and you'd like to access the Divi Blueprint 3 course absolutely free, all you got to do is to buy the Divi membership through my affiliate link, which again I've provided in the show notes below. Now, if you have these two things in place, I'm still giving you another offer. I mean, you can get the full course at 70% discount. So again, I've provided the discount code in the show notes below. So 70% discount. This course costs about $247. All right, thanks a lot for watching. If you have any questions, just ask me the questions in the comments box below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, you need to do that because I'm producing more and more of these videos. So you'll be notified when I produce them. And even better, if you go to diviuniversity.com, make sure that you subscribe to the mailing list. By doing that, you'll be notified via email when I release new videos. Okay, thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.